All right, you want to learn how to edit like Milliam and Flea. You want to make montages that make your e-girl crush go, oh snap. Well, guess what? You're in the right place because you are going to learn how to edit like this.
All that Henny, off the draw. I think I need some more. Icy lazy and crazy, I need to go hit my spark. I'm an asshole, and I think she like that. I love when my text with breast. I like that.
So first things first, what's up? I'm Flea. Make sure you watch the video all the way through because it would really suck if you skipped one section and missed a key important part and it threw you off track for the rest of the montage. I'm gonna be going over how to get the cinematics, edit everything together, transitions, effects, and much more. So let's go. I've never used anything other than Sony Vegas, which is what I have right here. I know that Milliam and Flea use After Effects, Premiere Pro, and I'm sure there's a lot of other editors that use different softwares as well. I'm going to be using the Sapphire plugins. So if you don't know what any of those things are, I would go ahead and Google them and find one of them yourself. But anyway, you're still going to be able to learn how to make an insane montage no matter what you use. So let's go. All right, so I'm going to open Vegas and start a new project. You want to make sure it's on 1920 by 1080, 60 FPS. We're going to hit OK. We're going to drag our clip onto here. So now we're gonna get our song, which I have in my downloads. This one right here. It is the song that Milliam used in his phase montage.
I'm an asshole.
Technically, you want the kick drum to hit when the shotgun hits, because that's the way that the audio is gonna sound the best. But it's not always gonna look the best. So you have to find like a good balance for that. So I'm gonna put it here.
Asshole. Asshole.
So we have our little lead up point right here.
All that Henny, off the draw. I think I need some more. Icy lazy and crazy, I need to go hit my spark. I'm an asshole, and I...
All right, so at this point, you want to find where you want the cinematic to start and end. So for us, it's gonna be like right here. Usually there won't be a gap here, but there's some like dead time before the shot that I want to get rid of. So I'm gonna split it right here. All right, so I'm gonna screenshot this right here so that when we get into Fortnite, I know where to start recording the cinematic. Now we're gonna go into Fortnite and get our cinematic. It's gonna look great, so see you in Fortnite. All right, so you wanna go to your replays in Fortnite and find the replay that has the clip in it. All right, so we're going to find where our kill is, which is right here. Go to your settings. So I was actually unaware that I was recording with ProTope on, so in this clip, I'm gonna have to use ProTope, but I would not recommend it. But anyway, that's what I'm using in this. And then you wanna go down to your settings, make sure you have pretty much everything on high. I like to keep this one on epic just because it makes the character not look very pixely. And then make sure that you don't have like your show FPS on, because then it'll show this green thing right here, and you don't want that on there because that looks really bad. All right, so we're gonna slow down the cinematic because I know that our clip is right up here. Speed up a little bit. Slow it down to like 10%. So this is where I got the screenshot from Vegas. It's pretty much identical. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be really, really close. All right, so now that you have your settings on high and everything, you wanna go to drone free, and it's gonna be like zoomed out right here. So you wanna like zoom in and try to match drone free with the gameplay so that the camera is like identical to what the gameplay would be like. So now that we have that matched up, we are going to go to the camera, turn autofocus off. And this focus is, by the way, aperture. 1.4 is generally the best for a close-up cinematic, because if you do this, it's pretty much for far away stuff, but this one works really well for up close. 1.4 seems to work best for me. Never really done that. It's really, really up close, but this one's pretty good for like general cinematics. And 133 seems to like work good for this type of stuff, but you want to mess with that for whatever cinematic you're going for. It really just depends. But for this specific cinematic that I'm going for, I'm gonna use these camera settings. So I have a hand cam for you so I can show you how I get the cinematics. So I've made several edits by just getting cinematics with the keyboard and mouse. But just like in game, you have better movement with a controller. So with a controller, when you're getting cinematics, you have more creative freedom. With different angles and different movement. You can also slow walk, for example, so you can move the camera slower. It's a lot easier to get cinematics, so I'd recommend using a controller if you have one, but if you don't, it's still completely doable on a keyboard and mouse. So real quick on the keyboard and mouse, I'm gonna make sure that my speed right here, I'm gonna press a minus right here, make sure the drone speed is like all the way low. If you're too close to your character, that's gonna be like really slow, so you might have to turn it up a little bit. So basically this type of cinematic like isn't the easiest to get. because you have to make sure that you go a little bit around your character while you're also going down, and you want to keep your camera on the enemy player that you're going for. So L2 makes the camera go down, and then obviously this moves me forward, and then this is the camera. So you have to like do it all at once type of thing. And it's pretty hard, so that's why you want to like obviously stay on like a really low speed. So when you try to record these cinematics, there's gonna be like a lot of trial and error because it's really hard to get like the micro movements like perfect to how you want them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward to when I get a decent one and show you that one to save you time. All right, so this is what it looks like. So even that was like really hard to do. I'm still kind of working out like my dead zones and stuff because I've never really played controller, so it's hard for me to get like good cinematics on the first try. So it really depends on your settings and sensitivities and all that. So make sure that you have good controller settings or mouse and keyboard settings so that you can actually get a nice cinematic. But we already got one, so we're gonna go back into Vegas and I'm gonna show you how to edit this into the clip. So we have our cinematic here. It's like really slow, as you can see, right? So in Vegas, you're gonna hit control, you're gonna hold down control, and then grab the end and just stretch it like that. So for some reason you can't go faster than 400% in Sony Vegas. I haven't figured out how to, so if you guys know how to do that, let me know in the comments. But what you have to do is like mute the audio and just render this. All right, so now that this is rendered, I'm gonna open the folder that it's in, put it right there, and now we can make it faster. Now we're gonna use velocity. So you just right click, insert velocity, and you wanna think of like a slide and then a ramp back up. Like you can move the velocity up and down like this because it makes the video faster this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and you just gotta test like different speeds out. It needs to be way faster. It's gonna be a lot of trial and error to get the like right momentum and the right speed, but you'll get it if you just keep trying. So this is like pretty perfect. Now you can like reverse this and then try to like use velocity again, but a little easier way if you want to be lazy with it is you can just render this in the highest possible quality, obviously. Cinematic, tutorial, reverse. So now we're gonna open the folder, drag it here, we're gonna reverse it. And now we have a perfectly synced clip right here. Then we're gonna drag this and see how this looks. Looks pretty good. All right, so you turn the music back on. And that's literally no effects, but it looks pretty smooth. All right, so now here's the fun part, the effects. So Sapphire plugins are these over here, the ones that start with little S's. So there's a couple of effects I like to use when making cinematics. Let's go to video event effects. First, we want to add blur mode curves. All right, so we have blur mode curves. First thing we're gonna do here is change the Z distance to 0.95, and you'll see right here, it zoomed in a little bit. And that is just so you have like wiggle room with your transitions so that your video doesn't like go out of frame and look weird. You do wrap X and Y, you wanna make them reflect. Because if you like, let's say, put the Z distance like this, if you didn't have reflect on, it'd be like that. But if you have reflect, it does this. So on our transitions, you're gonna be able to like move the screen, and because it has reflect on, it's gonna like look really cool. Okay, so you wanna make sure that you have blur mode curves on every single clip. Right now we just have it on the first one, but you're gonna have it on this cinematic, the returning cinematic, and the kill, because they overlap each other and they're gonna be transitioning into each other. But right now we just have it on the first one, and we're gonna be focusing on transitioning into the cinematic. So after you've done all that, you want to press animate right here on the Z distance, the shift X and the shift Y. And it's gonna come up with this timeline down here. And first off, you wanna make sure that you have sync cursor on so that if you move this right here, it moves it on the timeline. That's really, really helpful. You wanna go to the end of the clip right here, drag this to the very end, press add keyframe, and then go to the left, like 4, 5, or 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're gonna add keyframe again, but make sure you click this. And during these 5 keyframes, we're actually basically gonna be zooming in with blur mode curves, but it's gonna have like some motion blur with it. And on the other side with the cinematic, we're gonna basically be like continuing that zoom, but it's actually zooming from out to in, and you'll see that in a second. So what you're gonna do is change this to, let's try 6. And then you wanna click this right here and do a slow fade. So if you look on the timeline, it's like zooming. By the way, this is gonna be completely different depending on what type of cinematic you recorded, because it's not gonna work for every single project. It really just depends on which way the camera's going. With us, it works really well because we're zooming straight into the green character rather than panning to the left or right. So we don't need to move left or right with X and Y. We're just going straight. So now that our blur mode curves has been animated to zoom in right here at the end of the first clip, we're gonna go to the blur mode curves that we have on the cinematic, which at this point you should have put on every single clip. Go to video event effects, turn on blur mode curves, and start it at like 1.2, which once again, it's gonna be completely different depending on what type of clip you have, but we're gonna animate the Z distance from 1.2. You see how the reflect is going on the outside. Go to the right, 5 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add a keyframe now and set this to 0.95, which is the normal Z distance that we have. And then right click this and make sure it's a fast fade, because this one was a slow fade, so it's kind of like ramps up and comes back down. So now that we have this nice transition into the cinematic, we're gonna transition out of the cinematic. So we're gonna right click on the reverse cinematic, video event effects, and we're gonna animate the Z distance, go to the end of it, add a keyframe, go to the left 5 keyframes. And now we're basically gonna do the opposite of what we did going into the cinematic. So we're going to go from 0.95 to 1.2, make that a slow fade. Now let's go to our kill shot clip right here, video event effects, blur mode curves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add a keyframe, and because it went from 0.95 to 1.2 with the Z distance, that means it's like zooming out basically. So to create the delusion from zooming out, we want to start the kill shot clip zoomed in a little bit and have it come back to a normal distance. And the way we do that is by starting this a little zoomed in, which would be like 0.7 for example, and having it come back to 0.95, and we'll do a fast fade like normal. If we look at that with our keys, looks pretty smooth. Alright, so we are almost completely done. Before I mess with any of the other plugins, I like to go over here to the track effects, which means it's gonna go on the whole entire track, and put shake. Because if you put shake on the individual tracks, the shake doesn't really line up, so it like stutters with every single clip changing. So you wanna make sure you put that on the track so it's steady throughout the whole entire video. I like to leave the amplitude at around 1 and then put the frequency at like 3. You want to go to X shake, make sure all of the amplifiers are off. Same for the Y shake, turn the amplifiers off. Same for Z shake. That just basically means that they're completely turned off and they're not active at all. And what we want to deal with is the tilt shake. And for cinematics, putting the tilt wave amp at like 4 is pretty good, because then you can really tell that it's going on with all the movement. Looks really nice. And then what you want to do is turn on the animation for amplitude, and then once you're done here, just add a keyframe at the beginning of the cinematic, which is right here, and then go to the end of the cinematic and add another keyframe, and then you just basically want to go on the outside of those. So we want to basically keep the amplitude at 1 during the cinematic and then turn it off everywhere else. So I'm just going to go 1 frame to the left, add a keyframe, turn it all the way down, make sure it's all the way down over here. I'm going to go 1 keyframe to the right of the cinematic, make sure that's all the way off, and we should have a steady montage everywhere except for the cinematic. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is go to the kill shot clip and insert some velocity, and go over to where the numbers start to show up, or when you break the shield, or when their name starts to show up, and add a keyframe, then go over 1, add another, and lower this percentage to like 45. And you get this really nice slow motion kill. Then we're gonna go to video event effects. We're gonna add some flicker and hue sat bright. So I'm gonna animate the brightness and set a keyframe right when I crack the shield. Turn the brightness up to 1.3. And I'm just gonna go all the way over here and add a keyframe and pretty much have the brightness just go back to normal after quite some time. Alright, so what we want to do now is add black bars. So we want to go over here and right click, insert video track, and then we're going to go to media generators, all the way down here to solid color, choose black, Drag it on here, put it at the start of your clip. And if you need to make it longer, you can, but this is long enough for us. So you're gonna right click on the black screen, go to video event pan and crop, and then you wanna turn on a mask. You basically want to copy this rectangle, but do it a little farther out and just line up the crease right here in the corner. Drag it over down here. What you're gonna do is go over here to path and change the mode to negative. So you want to find where you want the black bars to start, which is right at the cinematic for us. You go down here to mask, then create a keyframe, go over about 4, add another keyframe, and then hold control, and then grab up here and drag this down to about there. And that's a good type of area for the black bar to be. Then we find the end of the cinematic, we create another keyframe and go to the left 4 frames, add another keyframe, and then you want to go back to this keyframe that's at the very end of the cinematic and make sure that you hold control and drag this back up above the black bar. So now the black bar should come in for the cinematic and leave afterward. One more thing, guys, that you can't forget is sound effects. You definitely need whooshes. Just pretty much search on YouTube free whooshes for montages. That's how I found mine. Alright guys, so it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and render it and show you guys the final product.
Henny off the draw. I think I need some more. Icy lazy crazy. I need to go hit the spot. I'm an asshole, and I think she like that. I love my text with breath. I like that. Baby, I'm an asshole, but I think she like that.
Alright guys, so hopefully that helped you, and if there's something that you're like really frustrated about or still don't understand, send me a message on Instagram or Twitter. It's just at PlaySC17. I'd be happy to help you out. And I plan to make more tutorials on this stuff, and I plan to go more in depth on specific things. This is just kind of touching the surface of it all. In the comments, let me know if you like enjoy or like the video so I can actually like make more tutorials on specific things. And make sure you let me know what you want to learn. So yeah, I also stream on Twitch. Sometimes I stream editing. I also play with viewers, play Zone Wars, all sorts of stuff. If this helped you at all, I am very, very glad. I'd love to see your montage if you want to DM it to me somewhere. Have a great day, guys. I appreciate you all. Peace out.
All that Henny off the draw. I think I need some more. Icy lazy crazy. I need to go hit my spot. I'm an asshole, and I think she like that. I love my text with breath. I like that.